Hello. This is German and English. Das ist Deutsch und Englisch. Oder Englisch und Deutsch. It is important I address you for your help. I would never do it openly if it would not be necessary. I'm feeling like being in great danger to be mistreated with false diagnoses. And this is from today. Don't know, I'm not a friend of the Vatican, don't misunderstand me. It came up by accident. But I'm not an enemy. I am not an enemy of people, but I'm an enemy of false behaviors. Also ich bin jetzt kein Feind von Leuten, ich bin aber ein Feind von falschem Verhalten. And this all came into my being not by my own raising me up, but not by accident, but by effort of other people. I wanted to tell you things about the Breslau friends, but now I think it is more important to tell you a little bit about this, what came up my mind, and those played the part in raising me up. But it started in America, in the United States, I think, and that would be the first thing. They have robbed me of my very, very much important citizenship by birth. But that is not the most important. The most important thing is something else, and I learned that this is rather a thing, this is a mouse cursor, I put him away, is rather a thing you tell only when being asked. Also es ist besser, man redet nur darüber, wenn man gefragt wird. Diese sehr wichtige Sache, I had addressed it a little bit before, and why a belief system is important. And people think it is to collect money. The dollar sign, is that dollar sign? Oh, much of it. You need much of it, and then they give you, the people, some thinking, so you throw in your money. And I really do need your money, but not for that. I need it. I will show it to you later. So it's not about money. I rather have to address this to prevent misunderstandings. I have learned that, I don't know why, I can't give you the answer why, but that my forefathers were all on the line that were role models to me, were all against the current. Also gegen den Zeitgeist waren alle die Vorfahren, die etwas für mich bedeuteten. Und das sind hier die beiden, also das bin ich jetzt, wenn einer mich wiedererkennen will. And it is important, this they think, church wants your money. But my belief system is not that of the church. It is rather similar to single ones in churches. Let me say the Catholic was first, or the Orthodox, and then maybe, don't know, between, and then those coming out of it. This is the church. They have a belief you can see from the outside. You see it as regulations. Do this and don't that. Also, das sieht dann so aus, dass das so ein System ist. Die dürfen dieses und jenes nicht. But that's what I want to show you this time, and I rather don't like it but it is necessary to prevent misunderstandings. Also es ist wichtig, damit ein Missverständnis vermieden wird. Ich muss das also doch mal kurz erzählen. It is a thing you can't explain, like a recipe. It is rather a thing where you first must have the questions before you get the answers. Also ich denke, das ist eine Sache, da muss man erst die Fragen haben, bevor man die Antworten bekommt. Most often there are role models, also Vorbilder. And they raise questions. Und dadurch werden Fragen aufgeworfen. Und it is a thing that is, of course, personal. And if you tell people, they argue. So if someone is asking you, wanting something, he's not arguing, but he is listening and questioning even deeper. So it is better not to tell, but this time I must do it. Otherwise people think I'm an unbeliever, and I'm not. But I'm not a church believer, and I'm rather not want to be called a Christian because of the others. And it was the same in the Third Reich. Like in the Third Reich, those officially were all Christians, or nearly everyone, but they did not do what they said. Also da waren fast alle Christen, aber sie haben nicht getan, was sie sagten. And I'm not telling you what a Christian is. My father, he rather wanted to be a God believer, he said. And after the Third Reich, my mother left the, I think the Lutheran Church, but I'm not 100% clear, she never explained that too much. She left the Calvinistic or the Lutheran Church because of the sign above the doors that some were not allowed to enter. And so I was raised outside, and she went to a little group that explicitly was not a church, so I stress that out. It is not an invention and not a want, it is true. Also es ist wirklich wahr, das war keine Kirche, da werde ich hammerhart dabei bleiben. Ich denke doch gar nicht daran, irgendwie mich in ein System hineinzubegeben. Ich bin aber auch kein Nonkonformist, ich bin gar nichts. Ich habe was dagegen. But nevertheless want to explain. If you urgently want to have a connection, let me say this is the earth, then you have the sun, and you have the moon. Don't know, moon is the same. Maybe not always round. This is sun and moon. Sonne, sun. Mond, moon. Then if you look to the skies, you must know there is someone. If you have the wish to connect to the, I called him the eternal, you must know there is some blockage. And that is up to you to understand it. And I'm saying I have not wanted to be alone. This was not my want. It is the same like in the Third Reich. My father urgently was looking for people, and he went to those who wrote the Evangelischer Ruf, and he said those are prayers. They wait for the submerging of the world. Also mein Vater hat sehr verzweifelt nach Leuten gesucht, und er ist dann in Breslau zum Evangelischen Ruf gekommen, und dort waren Beter, die haben auf den Untergang der Welt gewartet. Für diese war Hitler der Antichrist und danach nichts mehr, oder das Ende. and he wanted to look for fighting men. His friends had left the country because they were no longer Germans. They were thrown out, and so they left. And he said, "This is not good. You had taken an oath to stay," but they left. It was, for example, after Spain. There was a concert of the Comedian Harmonists, and some of his friends left. Also da waren seine Freunde, und die waren keine Deutschen mehr, weil man hatte sie rausgeworfen. Und dann zum Beispiel nach Spanien, nach dem Abschiedskonzert der Comedian Harmonists, da war einer der Sänger, das war einer der Termine, die er wahrnehmen konnte, da hat er nicht so viel Zeit mehr gehabt, weil er fühlte sich schon im privaten Widerstand. Ich weiß auch nicht genau, wie das lief. My father did not tell too much to my mother. She said they had things above themselves. They did not tell the women in case there would have been an arrest, they would press things out of people. Also den Frauen ist nicht alles erzählt worden. Im Falle, dass eine Verhaftung stattfinden würde, hätte man dann die Dinge schon erfoltert, also durch Folter herausgekriegt. Deswegen haben sie nicht alles erfahren. Das ist ganz selten. Also he was no ordinary man. And I think they were real. She was real as well. And his father, my grandfather KARL, he was real as well, but my mother said, I saw him changing over time. So he was strange at the beginning because he was a military monarch, something like it, and he had changed. It was not that fast. It is not a miracle and then everything is there. It is a starting point. Also das darf man nicht vergessen. Meine Mutter hatte den Großvater KARL beobachtet und die hat gesagt, der ist auch echt anders geworden. So it was something, aber es hatte gedauert. It is something over time, but if there is an urge, and someone says, I want to connect, nevertheless the blockage, stay sure that no one exploits you. This was my worry as well. So the worry is that someone will be something like a guardian or even a slave master like in the earlier days. It had been with some religious systems. Then there is something, this is a human being. I don't know how to show it, and he's standing there and thinking. So it is a matter of thinking, maybe sitting somewhere, I don't know. It is not that important. And then he is there looking at the skies, and there, in my theory, there is an antenna. And this can be received by the eternal. And this you can explain as a model. Then it is asking, and I don't know how the answer is coming. Be very cautious. There is sometimes something that is not real coming back. When you look in the skies, you must know there is the good eternal, and there are other forces. So be sure, the good one. The good one is hearing and maybe giving assurance. Back comes some kind of insurance. Also zurückkommt eine Art der ich weiß es, also der Bestätigung. And the questioning is, how can I come to connect? And what is the blockage? And you can ask people, but be cautious, they don't force you, they give you answers, not more. So I don't want to have converts to a church system, rather self-thinking people who have change and then are looking for the right way to go, like it was with Grandfather KARL. He was changing, then he was influenced by people who thought they can exploit him, and they received some goals, and then he had to go back, because he saw those were manipulations. Also mit Großvater KARL war das so, als er dann die Veränderung hatte, oh, Entschuldigung, das ist jetzt hier, dann kamen andere Leute und haben das ausgebeutet, indem sie ihm dann Lösung gesagt haben, und dann war er wieder zurückgerudert. Ich weiß aber nichts genau, es ist aber angedeutet worden. Also genau um welche Sachen es genau ging, es muss sehr viel gewesen sein. So als Anführer hatte er viele Dinge zu entscheiden, und die Gesetze waren noch recht offen. Er hat sich natürlich auch daran gehalten, aber die waren auch unterschiedlich. Also amerikanisches Recht, da gab es hier im Deutschen Reich verschiedene Rechtssysteme, dann konnte man auch viel auskleiden. Und therefore I know the change is important, and ask someone, and then there is the account, and it is very much about the account or the accountability, also dieses Konto, so eine Art Lebenskonto, das ist schon wichtig. Das möchte man reguliert bekommen. Das ist wahrscheinlich die Blockade. Ich weiß nicht, wie das da steht, sondern das ist eternal. And I do not give him a name. In the languages of the world, the name is different. Also ich gebe dem Ewigen keinen Namen, oder dem Guten, the good one. Weil der ist in den Sprachen der Welt unterschiedlich, aber es geht um das Konto. Und das wird ausgeglichen, someone has to pay. So, and I want to leave it there, because the man, he's standing there, I don't know how he is, or he's sitting, and he's thinking. And this is something between him and the eternal. And the answer, because it is not in my knowing, something other people can tell you about. They want to help, and then there could be complications. Also wenn andere Leute sich da einmischen, dann kann es Komplikationen geben. I think something like in the USA, that would be a help. There are efforts to bring people to thinking. This was in the US till the 80s. Of revival. Bring people to think about faith matters. There a recipe, also da kann ein Rezept gegeben werden, could be given. Also da kann man ein Rezept auch erwarten, und I think it is important that people think about to revive the being into thinking, how can I change and how can I come to a power that is not necessarily everything. You still have to eat, and you have to exercise, and it is work. It is much work to be done. So the old formula, I'm not saying that I'm a friend of the language, but it is the saying ora et labora. And it is both ora, labora. This is Latin, I hope Latin, work, no. Have the telephone calls, the transmission back and forth, and work. And it is something for the inner, and this is the outer. You can see only that, can be seen. So if you now look and you see things, you can estimate what is there, and if the answer comes, you can positively for yourself say if that one is real or not. And over time I learned that I can't do that 100%, but I can come to the conclusion if people are not even thinking, then something has gone wrong. So if you have there people not thinking, because a human being is from different, let me say, 4 parts. This is the head, and that is the soul, and then the body, or the strength. I don't know, let him. Never learn to. Maybe he's not thinking all the time, but this is important. This is very much important. Thinking. Spirit. The spirit is something like, you ought to say, the eureka system. For those who connect, it is something that is not explainable, that is some sorting it out. But the thinking, the brain, the intelligence. Also das hier ist Geist, im Englischen ist es, glaube ich, dasselbe sogar, Spirit or Spiritual. Also das ist Spiritual, dann ist das Spirit. Also in Deutsch ist das Gehirn, die Intelligenz, die Kombination und so weiter ist wichtig. Body, da ist natürlich Körper, Body ist there, Körper, und das Training natürlich. Nein, da ist natürlich noch das Soul dazwischen, die Seele, also das Gefühl. Also Körper, Seele und Geist. Das habe ich jetzt hier ein bisschen verschoben. This is important. If you look at someone, he has to think himself. Some can't do that to the extent we'd like to do it ourselves. Also ich weiß nicht, vielleicht können das einige nicht. Ich habe das nie ganz verstanden. But it is not only a matter of thinking and then having regulations, but it is understanding, and it is a change. A change in the want. The wanting system. Also dieses Bedarfssystem, also die Motive, die sind geändert. And this is something we have in the Western world as basic laws. And those people, over the centuries, luckily, some were leaders. And then we have now the system of Magna Carta was one of the written downs. Also eine der Niederschriften, also the writings, zum Beispiel Magna Carta, also nicht das erste, aber das bekannte. Und dann natürlich Menschenrechtskarten. Oder erstmal Charta überhaupt. Also es gibt verschiedene, natürlich Völkerbund und Europa und was auch immer. Und dann gibt es hier in Deutschland, in Germany we had since, I don't know if that's 1949, Grundgesetz, aber darüber natürlich Magna Carta, Menschenrechte and so on. And this all developed by being real, by changing of the instinct-driven life, the life of an animal. Some animals have something like a social system as well. Also einige Tiere haben natürlich auch ein Sozialsystem, aber der Mensch hatte ein anderes Denken und das ist damit über die Jahrzehnte hier in the Western World das hatte sich geändert. Also es ist das sogenannte Abendland. And it is important that this has to be maintained. And so we need people who still want to be real. And over centuries, this was the source of being real. The connecting with the eternal, and then there was always something you can look out for yourself as a basis to think about and to have the intelligence interacting with the soul and with that above. And it is necessary to think about those things, how this developed, how it came about, and then we have here the Third Reich, and then people lost faith in humanity and maybe in something else. Also haben die Menschen den Glauben an die Menschheit verloren, weil sie eben gesehen haben, dass das nicht mehr getragen hatte. And I want to stress out that my father, that he saw it even before when they came back. He was a little child with his father Karl from the US. They came back and Karl had become real. I don't know exactly when that was with my father. Also mein Vater, wann wurde er echt? Oder wann bekam er die Möglichkeit, echt zu werden? Also ich umschreibe das jetzt absichtlich, in kirchliche Sachen hineingezogen zu werden. Das weiß ich nicht genau. Er hatte das ja dann als Geburtsdatum eintragen lassen. Bei Karl ist das wahrscheinlich sogar gewesen, als sie in der Diplomatenausbildung dann Ethik studiert hatten. Das muss eine Ausbildung gewesen sein in den Vereinigten Staaten. Ich möchte das gerne herausbekommen. I want to find things out, like a detective. When had it been in the United States that Karl had been there in a training of the Western diplomacy? When had it been there, the training? There must have been his starting point of getting real, as I described it, as I circumvented it deliberately. I do not want to go into church matters. And with my father Fritz Johann, it was then the date of his birth. It was put in the records, and this was a custom. And I think historians could help me with sources as well. Also ich denke, dass die Geschichtsforscher mir das auch nicht beibringen, also zutragen könnten, wann das gewesen ist, weil das muss schon bekannt gewesen sein, dass da eine Veränderung stattgefunden hatte in ihrem Wesen. It was stressed out in the American diplomacy. They want it the Western style. Also das ist ganz klar gesagt worden. Sie wollen es in einer westlichen Art, die Diplomatie und die Vertragstreue. In Germany we have that then as Treu und Glaube. This is not only a saying, it is the law. Truth and faithfulness, that is a basic, a principle in the law system of the Bundesrepublik, of the federal system of Germany. And so you see, thinking about a belief system is even an official basis of the law. And I think people had forgotten. And this is one thing I see as a great missing basis system, as a lost or missing. Also ich denke, das ist the basis system. Also das Grundlagensystem, würde ich das mal auf Deutsch nennen, was irgendwie verloren gegangen ist, ist Treu und Glaube. And where are those, wo sind die? Wollten die das nicht eigentlich mal machen, die Kirchen? Wo sind die ja eigentlich? In der DDR, in der GRD, in German Democratic Republic, GDR. Also in der DDR, so wird hier international abgekürzt, there had been nearly no church, only very little. It was the basis of the belief. They had something like a state religion, but it was no religion, it was called a no religion. Also in der DDR, wenn ich das richtig verstanden habe, hatten sie ja gar keine Religion. Nur so ein paar hatten noch da nicht an dieser, an der verpflichtenden weiß ich nicht, wie man das nennt, an so einer Kommunion oder sowas teilgenommen. Deswegen das ist ja hier ein ziemlicher Teil, it is quite a part, in the Eastern Republic of Germany, there had been nearly no churches. And I sometimes thought it looks like the system of the GDR had taken over the belief system of the Western part, quite larger, where the Allied forces, America, then Belgium, there were no Allies, but they were later having come to it, also having been a part of it. Also Belgien ist später auch noch zugekommen, Niederlande war ja auch. Also da ist ja eine ganz große Fläche. Die hatten ja dieses offiziell auch das Belief System, und ich frage mich dann, why have I the imagination, or is it an imagination, or is it looking at reality, that the basis of all those living together regulations, that the basis isn't there anymore. Please help me also for that, to look out for facts. I do not want to be in the speculation field for too long. And I looked in this account, nothing has arrived till now. And I really want to try out to be a journalist and to look out for things. And of course I can work with scientists as well. Also ich kann natürlich auch mit Wissenschaftlern zusammenarbeiten. It isn't that hard. A scientist, he is someone who is looking closely, and he is trying to find out laws, formulas and laws, how to describe things. Also ein Wissenschaftler, der sieht unter anderem, jetzt natürlich nur unter anderem, nach Beschreibungen der Wirklichkeit und auch wie das genau erfasst wird. So it is a precise looking into things. I myself want to do it as well, in a not 100% scientific way. If it is not possible, I must to fill out the gaps. Also wenn das nicht möglich ist, muss ich Lücken ausfüllen. And I'm coming to the perceiving that those are no fairy tales, what I had found out. Also ich komme zu dem Schluss, das können keine Märchen sein. I understood in the last 2 years, people thought I was joking or I was having problems with my brain, and I don't know what they thought. Also ich bin natürlich disturbed, also ich bin natürlich ein bisschen entsetzt. I'm shocked that people thought I was telling fairy tales. No fairy tales. Also keine Märchen. Also ich will keine Märchen erzählen. A real conversion of Karl, Custer, I think was his identity in the US. I think it was real that I was born and raised in the US for some months. of myself, that is those are my initials, that was somehow stolen from me. This is very important, of course. And then it is not a fairy tale, no. Fairy tale, the resistance, and those resistance facts will follow. And those resistance was something that was not the ambition. No one wants to be in the resistance. I don't like to be against the current. It is something you do because you have goals, you have things you want to reach, and for that you have to go against someone or things or against forces. Und das ist wirklich wichtig. Also der Widerstand ist ja keine Sache, die man jetzt selbst haben will, weil es im Widerstand ist, sondern es ist durch die Notwendigkeit, dass man Dinge erreicht. Ziele, Goals, also Ziele. Und mein Ziel ist, I want to clear the names, and my goal is to clear the names of my mother and my two fathers, him and then Karl. He then had a head injury. Also er hatte eine Kopfverletzung, and people thought his head injury was not the reason, but he was going crazy because of his religion. Und Leute haben dann gedacht, er wäre verrückt geworden. Also er war nicht verrückt geworden, er war krank im Kopf. Das war aber ähnlich. Und das war nicht wegen der Religion, sondern weil er diese Kopfwunde hatte. Und ich möchte dann einfach die Dinge erklären. Und auch mit Pauline as well. I want to explain how she was. Maybe she was a little bit extraordinary. And it is the same with the others. I want to correct the reputation. But first of all, today I wanted to show you it is possible for everyone to connect with the eternal and to have a change and to get real or to become real. Da muss man natürlich sehen. Also, and ask someone if you like, but be cautious, don't be manipulated. Also ich selbst wollte nicht manipuliert werden und deswegen kann ich jedem raten, pass auf, dass sie nicht oder dass du nicht manipuliert wirst. So, vielen Dank, bis zum nächsten Mal.